Eloise in Oxonia, a creative podcast by the Oxford Writers' House. Follow English student Eloise Weaver as she moves through the city of Oxford, encountering stories, past and present. Eloise's adventures are fantasy, but the authors, people and ideas she encounters are as real as you and I.
Jax's midnight hair cascades in waves, hiding his eyes. He is walking away from me towards the town centre. I open my mouth to call after him, then stop myself. If I return the notebook now, I'll have to return the schedule and clues too. The magic spell will break. He disappears around a corner. At the intersection of High Street and Long Wall, I reach into my book bag again and carefully take out the Sayers collection. Under the table of contents, I read the enigmatic lines. My dear reader, a secret between friends. The falcon hunts only at dawn. Those words reverberate in my mind. Has Jax checked this book out already too? Was this marginal note meant for him? I recall the librarian said it had been a long time since anyone had checked out the text. My heart races as I tuck the Sayers collection back into my bag, where it nestles like a guilty stranger against the stolen notebook. The weather has turned cold. Weeks pass before I see Jax. It's nearing the end of Michaelmas term already. The day I see Jax starts normally, with a quick coffee, a croissant and a walk to the library. There are hardly any leaves left on the branches. The skeletal form of trees rattle menacingly in the wintry air. I've not had much of an appetite. Most of my thoughts are absorbed in essays and tutorials. Professor Mead continues to prod and poke, pushing us to write more and think harder. Sometimes I get headaches muddling over this unresolvable war between idealism and realism in medieval literature, a subject I'm sure only myself, Professor Mead, and my tutorial partner Francis really care about. I am nearly done with her paper. I spend hours in the library trying to balance worlds inside my brain. Today is no different, and the first stop is the old Bodleian Library. I love this library. Its stony silence is irresistible, full of charm. As the world fades into a digital fog, this immense library rests, centred, steadfast and defiant, a proud sentinel of culture, unwavering, unchanging, musty and mysterious and noble. There are not enough poems made about libraries, but I remember this one because it's almost a song.
This is the lesson in libraryology. I have a date with Su Ling Lee. We are meeting at the library at 5 o'clock by history. I'll show her some mythology. And if we have the energy, we'll check out some theology. And if there is good chemistry, we'll dance by musicology. We'll sail through oceanology and get some cool lithology. And roundabout psychology, I'll sweet talk her topology. With science and technology, we'll have some sociology and touch each other's botany with organic homeopathy. She knows so much cosmology. I do love her ecology and reading her astrology. I note he has anatomy. I'll use my best phraseology to get her to phonology so we can lexicology together in the library.
At the entrance to the Bodleian, I meet Jess.
Hello, I'm Jess. I'm one of the tour guides here at the Bodleian Libraries.
I ask her how old the library is.
Oh, without a lot of words, basically it started in 1320 in the University Church across Radcliffe Square, and it has developed thanks to the help of Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, the younger brother of King Henry V, who gave a collection of about 300 items. So we jumped from 20 items to 300. So we had to find a location, and this became Duke Humphrey's Medieval Library, officially opened in 1488. And then we had Sir Thomas Bodley. Who was Thomas Bodley? So yes, apart from being the Bodleian savior, as I usually love to call him, he was a student at Magdalen College and then became teacher at Merton College. He was a diplomat and he married a rich widow. Yeah, because it's how it worked at the time. When a man married a woman, he got all her money. The money to restore the library after the Reformation, would you believe, comes not from him. She was called Anne Ball, and she made her fortune with the trading of pilchards. Would you believe? So everybody coming to visit or studying the library do that thanks to the trading of fish. So Thomas Bodley got all that money after the wedding and, yes, decided to restore the library thanks to that. So we have in our special collections over 1 million items, which that would be very hard to narrow of the most famous one, but the one that everybody definitely really want to see on display sometimes would be the 4 copies of the Magna Carta we have in our collection. So the first Shakespeare folio, definitely the Gutenberg Bible we have in 2 volumes, which was printed in the 15th century. We have some 300 original drawings by Tolkien. So originally, to bring books from the old Bodleian section to the new Bodleian, which is now called the Western Library, we used to move the books on a conveyor belt system. So you have to imagine an old railway system underground with wagons, but this is not in use anymore. If you try to push something now, is more with modern trolleys, so it's not as exciting as it used to be, but it still works, and at least it's much faster now for the readers to receive a book to the other side of the road. Oh, how much of the library is underground? So we have, for example, under the grass of the Radcliffe Camera, for example, we have 2 levels of underground storage, which can accommodate more than 250,000 volumes. So next time you go near the grass of the camera, imagine all these under your feet. And when you go to the Western Library, we have 3 floors of underground storage, and that is where the most special, precious, valuable treasures of the Bodleian are kept, in special rooms with special walls and obviously a special air-conditioned system to protect them.
I ask her if the library is haunted and if she has seen any ghosts.
Is the library haunted? Oh, that's an interesting question. As far as I spoke to my colleagues who have been there for longer than I have, they say yes, it's definitely haunted. And apparently we are, according to some records, one of the 10 worst haunted places in the whole of UK. So yeah. I haven't seen them myself personally because I haven't been there when it's closing time after dark, but maybe, who knows, like in Harry Potter movies, maybe some portraits are moving, would you know? I don't know. But I have spoken to one of my colleagues who used to be a tour guide for the last 20 years, and she told me one day she came to an exhibition room. There was an exhibition at the time called Magical Books. And then there was a situation that basically the motion system has been triggered overnight. But this is not possible because the library was closed. Nobody was in the building. So she heard from security that, who knows? And then the security guy left, and she has been left with no more information than this, and the motion system has been triggered. So that's exciting story. Did you know if you walk around by the Sheldonian Theatre, between the Sheldonian and the Old Bodleian section, towards the back of the Divinity School, we have a special wall where we have some grotesques, as we call them. So lots of people get confused between gargoyles and grotesque. There is a difference. The gargoyle is spitting the water, and the grotesque is more for decorative purpose. And we have around there, for example, some remains of its model of some drawings inspired by school children of Oxford, and that's the best drawing which was chosen, for example, to do some grotesques, and some of them are all related to either famous characters around Oxford like Tolkien, or related to Alice in Wonderland. We have the dodo up there, for example, or we have Thomas Bodley, of course, there. So lots of them. So it's quite an interesting one.
I ask her about the chained books and the strange oaths of the library.
So it is true, absolutely. So when we have the section inside the Duke Humphreys Library, it's a particular part called Arts End, which was the first extension to the original library. All these books from the 1612, when the section was built, all the way up to the 18th century, all the books were individually chained to make sure that readers didn't borrow the books. So that was the alarm of the past. Yes, absolutely. So definitely the thing that which would be still relevant today is when we spoke earlier, about Thomas Bodley. Thomas Bodley did something which is still relevant to this day. This is the Bodleian Oath. Anyone who has what we call a Bodleian reader card, so either you are a student or staff member, or if you have an academic research project, you can apply for what we call a Bodleian reader card. And if you're a successful applicant, you will receive a card either in person or you come to attend a special admission ceremony. Sometimes. So to attend the ceremony, you have to swear the Bodleian Oath. You promise not to borrow a book from the Bodleian. You promise not to bring a candle and set fire to the library. Of course, myself, I'm a staff member, so I had to swear the oath, but all staff members had to sign it on our contract. So we had all to promise not to burn our workplace. But myself, I didn't have a ceremony, which I was very disappointed about. So last year I went to have a little chat with my colleagues in admissions office, and I said, can I just sneak along one ceremony and swear my oath? And I sneaked in one of them and swore my oath. And trust me, that day was probably the best day of my life so far. 100%.
After hours of research, I leave the library and head back to college for dinner. Winter sunlight fades behind duvet-thick layers of fog, while the pale yellow lamplights flicker awake. Shivering in the cold, I return to college and don my penguin suit for our formal dinner. In the long, cavernous dining hall, I sit in my usual place with Tessa, Quincy, Amari and Iris. Amari has had a paper published and is buzzing with excitement. He stands up and delivers a pre-dinner toast, giving thanks on behalf of the college family, encouraging us to study hard and get to bed on time. Quincy looks almost imperceptibly more haggard than usual. He has long nights, I imagine. He smiles around the room in case of close contact with potential business associates, flashing his shark teeth in a calculated way. We stand, as usual, as the dons of the college flow past us like a black cloud, reaching the high table in silence. A Latinate dinner prayer is read loudly, then the gavel hammer sounds, a signal to sit. Jax arrives late. Where's he been eating dinner all term, I wonder? Another college? Private clubs? Maybe he eats like a squirrel, munching on fruit and crackers while valiantly destroying some minor scholar's work with his own alternative reading. Jax gives a vague wave to obliquely address the table in general. My heart thumps, then sinks when I see who he's escorting as a guest. A beautiful girl in delicate stilettos, with eyelashes that look like she might fly away at any second. Her name is Colette. She looks timid, but she talks all the way through our cheese board, the roast, and the sticky toffee pudding. Her voice is high-pitched. Jack starts an argument with Quincy about cryptocurrency. He's seated 3 places over from me, just out of polite discussion range. I only hear clips of their conversation. Tessa and Colette hit it off like a house on fire. They exchange morsels of college gossip and directions to top-quality nail salons. Jax's date sips her water and tells us about the invite-only town and gown competition the two of them are attending early tomorrow. I can't help but overhear her say, "The race is the first thing in the morning. We'll meet just past the Christchurch boathouse." So she'll be spending the night with Jax then. My heart sinks from my stomach to my feet. I push my food around the plate moodily, remembering Shelley's winter poem from a lecture.
The moon made thy lips pale, beloved. The wind made thy bosom chill. The night did shed on thy dear head its frozen dew, and thou didst lie where the bitter breath of the naked sky might visit thee at will.
I decide to attend the boat race uninvited. Rash? Maybe. But I can't help but wonder what Jax gets up to away from the college. Curiosity has taken hold of me again. Maybe I'll give his notebook back at the race, casually, pretending it means nothing to me. This will give me an excuse to see if there is any realism in my idealism, or if Jax is just a figure made of marble in my mind. On a whim, I turn to Iris and tell her I fancy a long walk by the river in the morning. Can she come along? Iris jolts and nearly spills her wine, as if I'm rudely interrupting a deep dream. She tells me that, yes, she fancies a long morning walk. She would love to join. In fact, the River Isis is a mystic place, especially in the cold. And what's funny, she tells me in her chocolate voice, is that everyone thinks ISIS is the name of a terrorist organisation, when actually it's named after the Egyptian goddess who encompasses all the best female qualities. She traces a ring around the top of her glass. Iris and Eloise on the Isis. How poetic! She laughs at her own insight.
Episode 5 of Eloise and Oxonia was produced by Sid Walter and written by Dr. April Power and Tom Stockford. The episode features original readings by Esme Rhodes and Judith Bunting. Benjamin Zephaniah reads his own original poetry, and Cameron Power reads the work of Percy Bysshe Shelley. Our interviewed expert on the Bodleian Library was Jessica Boudet. Special thanks go to the National Poetry Archive, the estate of Benjamin Zephaniah, and the Bodleian Library for their expert support.